Hey guys, welcome back to Cecely's Corner. It's Cecily and my church friend / family, Terry Hollifield.
Hey everybody.
So, has a really cool story. He's my daddy's best friend, so we get hang with him a lot. It's kind of fun. And, actually this is fun. So, I'm going to ask him some funny questions and some hard questions. So, let's get started, shall we?
Yep.
Alright, so, Mickey Mouse Bowl, because I love Mickey. Alright, so, if you draw it, you say it, and then we both answer the question, alright?
Okay.
Alright, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I get to pick my own poison.
Yeah. Not that bad.
Okay. So I read it out loud?
Read it out loud.
Alright. If I read it, you get to answer first.
Alright.
Okay. What is your favorite TV show?
Oh, Gilmore Girls, all the way.
Why?
Because it's so, drama. And,
I don't need all that drama.
or Friends, because it's drama.
For me, I like a show called Blue Bloods. It's a cop show about a family, and the family they're all cops or a lawyer. And so they talk about stuff, and they're a really good family. They're good, pretty good for TV, role models. It's a good show. Blue Bloods. Official endorsement.
2 TV shows you can go check out. Yeah, I don't like scary things. So, my turn.
Yeah, you get to choose this time.
So you get an answer. What's your favorite dessert?
Anything chocolate. Anything chocolate related, especially dark chocolate.
I agree with you. Totally dark chocolate. Chocolate Factory. That's a cool place.
Anything chocolate for me, dessert-wise.
Anything. I like ice cream. Mint chocolate chip, preferably.
Mint chocolate chip or chocolate chip mint? Two different things.
I don't know.
One's green and one's white. You like the white or the
green one?
Oh.
Because it's green.
No, the white one's better.
Alright, here's the last question.
Okay. Who's my favorite superhero? Well, one of them is here on the couch with me, Wolverine. And my absolute favorite is Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
Yeah, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
And my favorite is Hulk. Because he's strong. And a lot of people say I like him. They
say you're like him?
Yeah, Titus.
You don't look like him, though.
Titus was like, when you get mad, you get like him. And
oh, that's not.
I'm
not sure that's a compliment.
And he's cute. Like, when he's all angry, he's like broccoli.
He does look like broccoli, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now to the serious ones, alright? Are you ready?
Yep.
Terry Hollifield.
Ready to go?
Alright. Who pleaded / inspired you to follow Christ?
It's a great question. Ultimately, with most people who come to follow Christ or believe anything, there are lots of different factors involved in that. But for me, one of the biggest factors was the example my mom gave for me. She is a person of tremendous faith in God, and she lived that out in front of me. She raised me by herself, and so I got to see she practiced what she preached. But ultimately, it came down to me to be about whether Christianity was actually true or not. Right? Like, in history, was Jesus who he claimed to be? Is God actually there? Is he real? And who is God? That's what it came down to for me, as to whether it was actually true or not. So ultimately, I would say that the biggest person that inspired me to follow Christ would be Christ. He showed me that he is who he says he is. I have good reasons to believe that. Yeah.
Christ is a great preacher. Question number 2. Describe how your life has changed before and after your accident?
Okay, so in 2013, I had a brain injury. It's kind of a freak, complicated brain injury where I got 2 concussions within the span of about 10 minutes. And being someone who was at the time approaching 40 years old, that's a pretty difficult thing to turn around from. So here we are, nearly 4 years later, and I'm still dealing with stuff. So with my brain injury, my life has really changed in every way. There's not a single aspect of my life that's not affected by my brain injury. You know, as someone yourself who deals with brain-related issues, you know that it affects everything. And so for me, I mean, I have trouble, my mental endurance, in other words, like how long I can do things for, is about 30% of what it was. So that cuts into recreation, that cuts into study, that cuts into relationships, that cuts into reading, that cuts into literally every single thing in my life. And I have vision problems and balance problems, and so again, it affects everything, my whole life. There's nothing in my life that hasn't changed because of the injury. Yeah.
Well, ever since I met you, I've seen a big difference. Because you inspire me.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. And you inspire me. That goes both ways.
You keep me going, and sometimes I'm like, yes.
Well, we're here to inspire one another. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah. That's why we have people in our life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I would also add, Cecily, that's one of the reasons why it's important that even though everybody suffers in life, we all face different things, but it matters how we suffer. Mm-hmm. Do we suffer well? Do we suffer with faith and strength and dignity and perseverance and those things? And so because other people are watching and they need to be encouraged. So it's important that we fight well, you know.
Yeah. How did your accident, well, you basically already answered that. Sorry. How has your accident shaped you to who you are today?
That's actually a great question. I think one of the things that we miss when we're going through trouble is that we focus totally on the trouble and we can't see and stop and ask the question of, okay, by allowing this thing into my life, what's God trying to teach me, right? Through the hardship. And so I think through my injury, I'm learning lots of things, Cecily, that I wouldn't have learned otherwise about myself, about who God is, and about who God says I am, and my worth, and my the things that before my injury, I thought what defined me, what made me important as a person, was the things that I could do. Right? I was a church planter. I was a preacher. I was, I did several different things, and I thought that what other people thought of me and the things that I could do defined who I was. Well, when all of those things are taken away from you, initially, you start to think, well, maybe I'm not much of anybody. Maybe I'm not worth much of anything. But in the injury, God has showed me that my identity is who He says I am, not what other people say I am. And He says that I'm His, right? And that's who I am. I am a child of the King. And there's no limitation that I have, no battle that I face, no valley that I fall into that can ever change that. It's as unchangeable as God is, right? And I would have never learned those things, Cecily, and many other things without my injury. It sounds funny, but in a lot of ways I'm grateful for my struggles. God's refining me through those things. He's making me better. He's purifying me through the injury. And so I'm grateful for it in many ways. Yeah.
What things help you when you're having a rough day?
What things help me when I'm having a rough day? Honestly, there are lots of rough days. I think the things that I just talked about helped me the most. And Cecily, this is true. People like you who go through struggles that are in some ways similar to mine and in some ways very different from mine. But people like you who fight well, right? Who choose to remain joyful. There's not happiness and joy are not the same thing. You can be sad and still have inner joy, right? So watching people like you truly inspires me, right? And ultimately, though, I think the biggest thing is the reminders that even on my worst day, Jesus faced worse days than I will ever face. He faced them for me. And he says, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world, Jesus says. So I think what helps me most in my toughest days is that I don't battle them alone, that there are friends and family who love me, who battle with me, and ultimately the God of heaven and earth battles with me. He never leaves, he never forsakes. And I look forward to the future. As a Christian, I hold on to the promise that just as Jesus rose from the dead, I too, and you too, will be raised from the dead in a perfect body. My mind won't be broken anymore. Jesus will fix everything. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, it gives me hope. Yeah.
See why I love him so much? And it's my brain right now because I'm so happy because he's here at my house and I love him so much. Thank you for coming today.
My pleasure.
I hope that one day you'll come, and he is a fantastic artist, and I hope one day you'll come back to show the viewers and me some of your artwork.
I'd be glad to.
You'll be seeing him soon. Again, like last week I said, if you are having a hard time or anything, you can leave comments down below. I now have a Facebook page, so go follow me over at Cecely's Corner and like everything and share it, please, and subscribe down below. And hope to see you guys next week. And it'll be kind of hectic since in the grade testing, but I will definitely see you soon. So, bye.